Sir Criston Cole is a key reason that the Dance of the Dragons occurred, and I've never kept it a secret. I really don't like him. So this video, let's talk about Criston Cole before the Dance of the Dragons to better prepare you for the events of House of the Dragon. Criston Cole was born to House Cole, a noble house in the Stormlands. In the time of the book/show, it isn't clear if their house is still going, or if some of the people with the last name Cole that are actually exiled and in the Golden Company are part of it. I'm honestly just crossing my fingers the house's bloodline is just completely wiped out by the time of the book/show. That would be absolutely wonderful for all the bloodshed they caused. Criston's father was the steward of Lord Dondarrion at Blackhaven, and while his childhood isn't really known, it's not fleshed out as of right now, we do know that he grew up to be a very handsome man. He had coal black hair, pale green eyes, and he was charming as heck. However, Criston wouldn't really come to the attention of others until 104 AC, when at the age of 22 years old, he competed in a melee at Maidenpool to celebrate King Viserys coming to the throne after his grandfather Jaehaerys I died. Criston specialized in the Morningstar, though he was certainly very good with the sword, and at this melee, he knocked Darksister, one of the legendary Targaryen Valyrian swords, from Prince Daemon Targaryen's hand, who was King Viserys' brother. Daemon was a temperamental bad boy, so obviously this really pissed him off, but King Viserys' first daughter, a 7-year-old Rhaenyra, became absolutely smitten with Sir Criston. It didn't help that a creepy 22-year-old knight gave a 7-year-old the victor's laurel and begged to wear her favor in the joust. I personally believe Cole is a manipulative monster. In the joust, Criston once more bested Prince Daemon Targaryen and many others until he was finally defeated, obviously making Prince Daemon that much matter. From that point on, Rhaenyra became absolutely obsessed with Criston. Well, many other ladies were obsessed with him all around the court, but Rhaenyra especially, and she begged her father to make Criston her own personal shield and protector, which King Viserys did give into because with Rhaenyra he gave into most anything she wanted. This led to Sir Cole always wearing the favor of Rhaenyra during tourneys and also being close to her during other events, such as feasts. This allowed the infatuation that Rhaenyra had with him to continue to grow and grow and grow. In 105 AC, Sir Criston Cole became a member of the Kingsguard at the age of 23. So he was sticking around King's Landing for a bit. And of course, Rhaenyra's love of him continued, and people actually began to notice. Rhaenyra's stepmother, Queen Alicent, wondered if Rhaenyra should be protected from Criston Cole, perhaps sensing his snake manipulative nature. However, despite Queen Alicent saying these worries at court, Sir Cole continued to be the personal protector of Rhaenyra. After all, there was no proof Criston was anything other than an honorable knight that kept his vows. And though he was around Rhaenyra at all times, it said he had never kissed her or gave her any promises of love or tempted her in any way. Unfortunately, that led to trouble, and we see this in 111 AC. In 111 AC, the 5th anniversary of King Viserys I and Queen Alicent was celebrated by having a tourney at King's Landing. At this tourney, Sir Cole unhorsed all of Queen Alicent's champions, which included some of her own relatives, which was actually a fairly big deal. By this point, there was a lot of tension between Rhaenyra and her stepmom, Queen Alicent. Queen Alicent wanted her boys to be the heir to the Iron Throne and did not want her stepdaughter, Rhaenyra, to be the queen of the 7 kingdoms. This had the ladies split into 2 factions, Rhaenyra in charge of the Blacks and Alicent in charge of the Greens. Criston unhorsing Queen Alicent, the Greens champions, made the Blacks, Rhaenyra's faction, look more favorable. But that's not necessarily the trouble, though obviously it added to the tension. Prince Daemon had come back to King's Landing, and there are some heavy rumors that he actually seduced and took the virginity of his niece Rhaenyra. Some accounts say this wasn't because she actually wanted her uncle, but because she wanted to be able to seduce Criston. Daemon told her the problem was, quote, When he looks at you, he sees the little girl you were, not the woman you've become. But I can teach you how to make him see you as a woman. If stories are to be believed, Prince Daemon taught his niece lessons in kissing, how to touch a man, how to undress in a tantalizing, seductive way, and also how to give really good blowjobs. Great uncle. He even brought her to brothels to show her how to make love and pleasure a man. When Rhaenyra finally felt ready with all her lessons from her uncle, she tried to seduce Sir Cole, but it's believed he was horrified by her attempts and turned her away. He wanted nothing to do with this. Now, whether that's him being shocked that Rhaenyra threw herself at him, or being shocked that she knew all those techniques, who's to say? In the next couple years, though, things would get a lot worse. Now, in 112 AC, this is where things start to heat up. Sir Cole became Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and in the next year, 113 AC, we see the groundwork of Sir Criston's hate of Rhaenyra being laid. King Viserys I in 113 AC told his daughter Rhaenyra she would marry Lenore Velaryon, and he wouldn't hear anything about it, otherwise she would no longer be his heir. While Rhaenyra was not happy with that decision, she went along with it because she one day wanted to be the queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Now here are two stories of what happened that night, after Rhaenyra was told she would marry Lenore. In one story, Criston Cole came to Rhaenyra's room and finally told her that he loved her and wanted to be with her. He was ready. He told her that he had even prepared for them. He had a ship in the bay and wanted her to leave with him to Tyrosh or even Old Volantis, where they could be married and live out their life together. And he was amazing with a sword, so of course he could get some work and they could be happy and live with each other for the rest of their lives. But at this point, Rhaenyra had moved on from her obsession with him and told him she deserved better than to be the wife of a common sellsword. She was the blood of the dragon. One day she would be the queen of the Seven Kingdoms. And she told him, you know, if you can just discard your Kingsguard vows, then you can just as easily throw away your marriage vows. How can I ever trust you? This infuriated Criston, and he left her room in a huff. So that is the first version. In the second version, it is actually Rhaenyra that once more tried to seduce him. Going to the White Sword Tower, she found him all alone. She decided to lock the door and stood before him completely naked. She had disrobed herself, put a robe around herself, went there, found him, locked the door, but dropped it. Once she was completely naked, she told him that she had saved her virginity for him, telling him, "Take it now, as a proof of my love. It will mean little unless to my betrothed, and perhaps when he learns that I am not chaste, he will refuse me." This once more horrified Cole, and in this version, Cole rejected her, still remaining true to his vows as a Kingsguard, and Rhaenyra was the one that left in a fury. Now, whichever story or version you think is true, the one thing that comes out from this event, and everyone can agree on, it's when they really started to hate each other and become actual deadly foes. In 114 AC, Rhaenyra would marry Lenore Velaryon, and 7 days of jousting and feasts were held. During these 7 days of jousting, Sir Cole now wore the favor of Queen Alicent, and as Rhaenyra and Queen Alicent were now butting heads and in separate factions, you can see how that was a dig at Rhaenyra. Sir Criston also seemed to just have a chip on his shoulder, and he dominated the tourney. He broke the collarbone and shattered the elbow of Sir Harwin Strong, who was Rhaenyra's new champion. Definitely not a aggressive move. And he delivered a blow to Joffrey Lonmouth that killed the man 6 days later. Cole was absolutely out for blood at Rhaenyra's wedding celebration. From there on out, he was put as Queen Alicent's personal protector, and Criston Cole would be the one to teach Alicent's son, Prince Aemon, to be deadly with a sword. But most importantly, the hate between Rhaenyra and Sir Cole would continue to boil, and eventually it would spill over, which we'll see in House of the Dragon. So thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, and come back for more videos.